Hello, everyone, and welcome to this edition of the ZapSec Modernization Series. My name is Carl Schneider, Vice President at ZapSec, and I'm joined by Ray Garg, who is our Identity and Access Management Architect. So, Ray, leadership teams are being asked to govern cyber and operational risk with real specificity, but when identity reporting flows up through the CISO, what typically arrives is technical metrics, stale account counts, MFA coverage percentages, certification completion rates, and the board sees those numbers and has no way to judge whether any of it's material.
Yeah, it's so true. I mean, those statistics are useful, but when it comes to the board, they want clear outcomes right away. So they're kind of seeing a control room receiving raw sensor readings instead of like a clear operational risk alert. The data is accurate, but nobody's able to act on it because it's not actually been translated into the language that the board uses to make decisions. The board usually governs in financial exposure, regulatory liability, and operational resilience, while identity teams report in controls and coverage.
Right, right. So, give me a concrete example.
So, a concrete example, we usually have a standing admin access. The identity team would report 12% of accounts have persistent admin privileges. The board might hear 12% and they might not be able to judge whether that's tolerable. So, we want to reframe that to those accounts give an attacker unrestricted production access if compromised. So, and the mean time to contain privileged misuse is 14 days. And the estimated financial exposure is a specific dollar figure. Now the board is actually able to act.
So, because the metric is business impact and not, control coverage.
Yeah, so the same translation is applying across the board. So the certification gaps become regulatory exposure. So we're framing it as what audit findings will result and what the liability looks like. And weak identity recovery design becomes a resilience metric. If the identity provider goes down, how long until authentication is restored? That recovery time is an operational materiality number.
Interesting. And auditability becomes evidence of the control effectiveness.
True, because if every privileged action is traceable and access decisions are logged, that's evidence that an auditor can evaluate. If it's not logged and not traceable, then the absence is the finding. And so auditability is a control assurance signal for the board. It's not just an IAM feature.
Right. And identity risk reporting belongs inside enterprise risk governance. The same risk taxonomy, same materiality thresholds, and the same escalation paths.
Yep. When identity exposure is able to cross the materiality boundary, then the board should see it the same way as they see a financial control deficiency. They shouldn't just see a separate dashboard. It should be part of the same governance structure.
Right, right. So how does ZapSec differentiate here? What's our secret sauce? Because most organizations have identity metrics. What they lack is the translation layer.
Yeah, it's a great point. So three things. First, we build a translation model. So our identity risk frameworks map technical findings, standing privilege, certification gaps, recovery design. They map these types of things to material business impact, financial exposure, regulatory liability, resilience impact. These are all things that the board is able to see risk in their language for, and not just ours. And second is structured delivery. So governance blueprints are able to give organizations implementation ready reporting models that are able to connect the identity findings to an enterprise risk register. It's built from real board level engagements and not just theoretical frameworks. And the third thing is automation. So we bring automation that, has continuous measurement of identity risk posture. If standing privilege increases, or if certification coverage drops or recovery time exceeds the threshold, then the reporting surfaces it with materiality context attached. The translation doesn't just depend on someone rebuilding a slide deck every quarter.
Right, right. Materiality mapped, implementation ready, and continuously measured. Those are good differentiators.
And yeah, and that's how organizations are able to move from identity metrics that the board can't act on to risk reporting that the board can govern.
Yeah, identity risk becomes governable only when it's expressed in material business terms. Financial exposure, regulatory liability, resilience impact. If your identity reporting stops at technical findings, the board and leadership in general can't govern what it can't measure in its own language.
Exactly. So the key takeaways here are translate the risk, quantify the exposure, and make identity governable.
Great advice, Ray. Insightful as ever. All right, everyone. Thanks for watching. Don't forget, ZapSec helps companies maximize their ROI and minimize threats. We do cybersecurity every day. We've been there and done that. If any of this resonates with you, we'd welcome a conversation on how to bring this sort of transformation to your organization. Visit zapsec.com or reach out directly to my Ray or myself. Our email addresses are visible at the beginning of the video.